Good morning. I'm Stephen Sterling Mitchell, Assistant Director of Community Engagement and California State System of Support at the California Collaborative for Educational Excellence, and I welcome you to this webinar on behalf of the CCEE and the California Department of Education, where we'll be co-leading this webinar with our partner from CDE.
Hello, everyone. My name is Anissa Sonnenberg. I'm the Education Administrator of the System of Support Office at the California Department of Education. And this webinar will cover the California Community Engagement Initiative 2.0 Lead Agency Request for Applications. Let's get started.
The California Department of Education and the California Collaborative for Educational Excellence invite interested county offices of education, COEs, on behalf of consortiums of entities, local educational agencies, LEAs, institutions of higher education, nonprofit educational service providers, to apply to be named as the lead agency for the California Community Engagement Initiative, CEI 2.0. Overview. This can be found on pages 1 through 3 for the request for applications. Backgrounds and goals. The Community Engagement Initiative was established in 2018 under Assembly Bill 1808, Section 140, as part of the California statewide system of support as a key lead initiative with a $13.2 million investment. The CEI is tasked with building the capacities of communities and school districts to conduct meaningful engagement by 1, building capacity in communities and school districts to have difficult conversations with each other and build trust, with the focus on improving outcomes for pupils, particularly the subgroups which have pupils with the highest needs. 2, identify effective models of community engagement and metrics to evaluate those models. 3, develop effective peer-to-peer partnerships between school districts and county offices of education. And 4, scale up the work to improve community engagement statewide and incorporate practices that prove effective towards school district and county office of education's continuous improvement efforts. Current CEI. Currently, the CEI represents 44 LEAs statewide, which includes schools, districts, and county offices of education. A full list of CEI partners can be found on the CEI website at www.californiaengage.org. Through the initial investment in CEI, LEAs have been able to create authentic partnerships among pupils, families, districts, and communities that nurture relationships, build trust, ensure cultural, racial, and linguistic equity, and lead to transformative pupil outcomes. The expansion of the CEI. The 2022-23 Education Omnibus Budget Trailer Bill, Assembly Bill 181, Chapter 52 of the Statutes of 2022, funded and established an expansion of the CEI with an additional $100 million investment. The expansion, known as CEI 2.0, built upon the initial work. The following are the purposes of CEI 2.0. 1, increasing and enhancing the emphasis on the engagement of pupils, families, and communities in all aspects of the CEI. 2, expanding the use of CEI's identified metrics to create a common definition and clear standards for meaningful engagement at the local and state levels. 3, developing an in-depth training series on meaningful pupil, family, and community engagement, and engaging LEAs and school site staff in those trainings to build the knowledge, skill sets, and commitment of key staff in improving pupil, family, and community engagement. And 4, increasing the capacity of the CCEE and the selected lead agency to scale up the initiative and improve alignment with the statewide system of support. The responsibilities of the lead agency. The lead agency selected for this work must demonstrate the capacity to do all of the following. 1, develop and share expertise in community engagement. 2, Work collaboratively with the CCE and a diverse group of education partners. 3, communicate regularly with the CDE and the CCE and other members of the statewide system of support. 4, document outcomes of the CEI 2.0 activities and in partnership with the CCE and the CEI 2.0 participants, develop resources based on the experiences and conclusions of the CEI 2.0 participants from their specific contexts that are broadly applicable and actionable statewide. 5, play a leadership role in disseminating the information throughout the statewide system of support and serve as resource to LEAs and educational partners in applying that information to their local contexts. 6, perform other responsibilities required to successfully achieve the goals of CEI 2.0. 7, create a common definition and clear metrics for effective, equitable community engagement that draw upon the metrics developed pursuant to Section 140 of Chapter 32 of the Statutes of 2018, which can be found at ccee.ca.org/community/engagement initiative. Metrics must mirror the original purpose of the CEI, which is to encourage underrepresented pupils, families, and communities, build trust, and have authentic and productive conversations, and link engagement to efforts that improve student outcomes. And finally, 8, in cooperation with the CCEE, develop a scope of work and budget. Eligibility requirements. The application may be submitted by a county office of education on behalf of a consortium of entities. For example, LEAs, institutions of higher education, nonprofit educational service providers that demonstrate the capacity to meet statutory goals and responsibilities outlined herein. Selection of 2.0 lead agency. The CCEE and the California Department of Education will select a lead agency to co-administer CEI 2.0 with the CCEE, with approval from the Executive Director of the State Board of Education, SBE, by May 1st, 2023. The grant period begins July 1st, 2023, and ends June 30th, 2029. Next, I will hand it over to our partner from California Department of Education to share information about Section 2 of the application. Anissa?
Thank you, Stephen. Section 2 will be going over accountability, and those can be found on pages 3 through 7 of the RFA. Reporting requirements. The selected expert CEI lead agency will be part of continuing conversations among the California statewide system of support, the CCEE, and the CDE. Additionally, the lead agency shall provide the following: 1, regular progress reports at CEI meetings. 2, data requested by CCEE in support of the external evaluation. 3, a quarterly fiscal activity report to be submitted to the CCE's administrative agent. 4, other reports as requested by the CCEE or its administrative agent. And 5, by June 30th, 2027, a report to the CCEE, other statewide system of support lead agencies, Superintendent of Public Instruction, the SBE's Executive Director, and the chairpersons of each of the legislature's appropriate policy and fiscal committees, which shall include all the following: a description of best practices for improving community engagement identified by the professional learning networks established under the Community Engagement Initiative and the expansion, and any changes in the understanding of best practices throughout the duration of the expansion. Using an identified definition of metrics and analysis of the impact of the work done by each team through the professional learning networks on their home communities and school districts. And last, feedback to improve the Community Engagement Professional Learning Network protocol and metrics, and additional activities or resources that would assist in the continued development of capacity within LEAs and local communities for conducting meaningful educational partner engagement. If the administrative agent of the CCEE does not receive the required reports, program activities are not completed, or there is a lack of participation in meetings, funding for the lead agency could be reduced. Program deliverables, training series. On or before December 1st, 2023, the selected lead agency in collaboration with CCEE must provide an in-depth training series and resources on meaningful pupil, family, and community engagement. Training series and resources. The training series and resources must be able to accomplish at a minimum the following. 1, develop professional development through train the trainer models or online training modules that are scaffold to support the continued professional development and deeper expertise of educators. 2, provide technical assistance to LEAs. And 3, develop a network of educators, especially those selected to participate in previous CEI professional learning networks, who can provide coaching and training to other LEAs. In addition to the training series and resources, must include content on areas including, but not limited to, those listed on pages 4 and 5 of the RFA. The training series and resources must be made publicly available at no cost to LEAs statewide. Additionally, the selected lead agency in collaboration with CCEE must periodically update the training series and resources as needed based on the findings of future CEI professional learning networks and other research. Program deliverables, summary of activities. The lead agency must provide a summary of its activities that include, but not limited to, the following. 1, actionable statewide resources developed based on CEI 2.0 activities and outcomes. 2, support provided to community engagement professional learning networks across the state. And 3, other activities as specified by the CCEE. Program deliverables, professional learning networks. For the 2022-23 fiscal year to the 2026-27 fiscal year inclusive, the selected lead agency in collaboration with CCEE must convene 30 community engagement professional learning networks in accordance with Section 140D of Chapter 32 of Statutes of 2018, which required that the teams, quote, include community members, pupils, school site staff and leadership, school district staff and leadership, and COE staff and leadership affiliated with common single school districts, end quote. The learning community engagement professional learning networks must be willing to do the following. 1, participate in professional learning networks for no less than 2 years. 2, engage in open dialogue on issues related to improving local pupil outcomes. And 3, partner with other communities and school districts on improving community engagement. For the 2022-23 fiscal year, each of the community engagement professional learning networks created shall include as co-facilitators members of the team that participated in the initial community engagement professional learning networks, which may also include as co-facilitators members of a team and participants in the initial community engagement professional learning networks. Each of the community engagement professional learning networks shall do the following. 1, deepen the community engagement of the school districts and communities participating in each professional learning networks, including by engaging with the community engagement protocol toolkit developed by the networks established pursuant to Section 140 of Chapter 32 of Statutes 2018. And 2, use the metrics developed pursuant to the same section to measure changes in community engagement in each of the participating communities and school districts. Allowable activities and cost. The CEI 2.0 budget will be developed by CCEE subject to the Department of Finance's approval. The selected lead agency specific program budgets will be developed in cooperation with CCEE. The proposed use of grant funds will be revised, and any items that are deemed non-allowable, excessive, or inappropriate will be eliminated. Generally, all expenditures must contribute to the goals and objectives outlined in Section 1. Assurances. In addition to complying with all terms, conditions, and requirements specified in this RFA, the selected lead agencies must also abide by the current general assurances and certifications on the CDA forms webpage located on the website located on this slide. Applicants do not need to sign and return the general assurances and certifications with the application. Instead, they must download them and keep them on file to be available for compliance reviews, complaint investigations, or audits. Administrative indirect cost rate. The selected lead agency must limit total administrative indirect cost for itself, and if applicable, any other agencies in the consortia to the rate approved by the CDE for lead agencies for the applicable fiscal year in which the funds are spent. For listings of indirect costs, visit the CDE indirect cost rate webpage listed on this slide. And I'll hand it back over to Stephen to go over Section 3.
Thank you, Anissa. Section 3, applications, procedures, and process, which can be found on pages 7 through 10 of the application. Process for selection. The process for the selection of CEI 2.0 lead agency is a multi-step process that will consist of the following. 1, application. 2, presentation to demonstrate the ability to meet the goals and responsibilities of CEI 2.0. And 3, an interview. All interested consortium meeting the eligibility requirements are required to develop and submit an initial application package with a letter of interest, resumes of key personnel, and Form A, description of experience and capacity with signatures. Application timeline. The request for applications will be released on January 23rd. And as well, you can see various other dates related to the timeline. Key dates being that the application is due February 28th, 2023. And application presentations will begin in March 28th through 29th. Finalist interviews April 2nd through 4th, 2023. The announcement of the initiative lead agency, May 1st, and then any appeals received at CDE to the announcement of the lead agency due June 1st, 2023. Application process. Email all application components listed in Form B, application checklist, as attachments no later than February 28th, 2023 to CA System of Support at cde.ca.gov with CEI 2.0 application in the subject line. Application review. All applicants will be screened and rated for completedness, up to 5 points, quality, up to 10 points, and experience, up to 10 points by CDE and CCE staff. Each application will be read and scored by a minimum of 2 reviewers. The application review process will occur in February through early March of 2023. Applications will be randomly assigned to readers, taking into consideration any conflicts of interest. Readers will base their scores on the degree to which an applicant provides evidence that it meets the RFA eligibility and experience requirements. Readers will independently evaluate and score the applications using the scoring rubric, see Appendix A, and the 2 scores will then be averaged to determine a final score. The applicants with the top 5 scores will be invited to deliver a presentation to a panel consisting of representatives of the CDE, CCEE, and SBE to demonstrate their ability to meet the goals and responsibilities of CEI 2.0. Question and contact information. Prior to submitting questions to the CDE, Student Achievement and Support Division, please ensure that you have 1, read the RFA in its entirety, 2, reviewed the questions and answers located at the website on this page, and 3, reviewed the RFA, Community Engagement 2.0 webinar posted on the CDE website on the web link listed below. All questions and correspondence should be submitted by email through the System of Support Help Desk at casystemofsupport@cde.ca.gov using Community Engagement Initiative RFA in the subject line. Please note, all questions regarding the RFA and related requirements need to be submitted by 5 p.m. on Friday, February 3rd, 2023. All submitted supplemental questions with answers will be posted as part of Q&As located at the website on this page on Tuesday, February 7th, 2023. Appeals process. Applicants who wish to appeal a grant award decision must submit a letter of appeal no later than 5 p.m. on June 1st, 2023 to Community Engagement Initiative Applicants Appeals, the California Department of Education, Student Achievement and Support Division, System of Support Office at 1430 N Street, Suite 6208, Sacramento, California, 95814. Appeals are limited to the grounds that the CDE's actions violates a state or federal statute or regulation. The professional judgment of the application reviewers will not be considered on appeal absent of a showing that the CDE violated a state or federal statute or regulation. An applicant may be represented by counsel. The letter of appeal shall include the following. 1, a clear and concise statement of the action being appealed. 2, the legal authority, statute, and/or regulation relied upon for the appeal position. 3, the specific evidence being submitted to support the appeal. And 4, the specific remedy sought. At this time, I will hand it back over to Anissa from CDE to go over forms and attachments.
You're on mute.
Appendix A, scoring rubric. Appendix A contains the application scoring rubric. Applications will be reviewed and scored for the following components. A, completeness totals 5 points possible. B, experience and capacity for a total of 10 points. And section C, proposed structure for a total of 10 points. Form A, description of experience and capacity of the consortia. Form A contains 2 sections. Section 1 contains various insert fields for required applicant information. Section 2 contains applicant and consortium member certification that needs to be signed by the County Office of Education designee and partner agencies authorized signatories. And there also is a section 3, which provides the following prompt to respond to, describing the consortium's experience and capacity to serve as a CEI 2.0 lead agency using Arial 12-point font, 1-inch margins, and not exceed 3 pages. Supporting documentation should not exceed 10 pages. So the following contains the description of the experience and capacity prompt that is located in section 3. Provide a description of the proposed lead agency structure. Include a proposed organizational chart, summary descriptions of each organization, a description of the overall management structure, the roles and responsibilities of each partner, and a description of each partner's experience and effectiveness, centering voices of pupils, families, and communities in decision-making processes in order to meet the expected outcomes of CEI 2.0. Include supporting documentation of any formal agreements and or letters of support that demonstrates high level of cooperation, commitment, coordination, and formal relationships between the partners, if applicable. This concludes our webinar for the CEI 2.0 RFA. Again, if you have any questions and correspondence, they should be submitted through email to the System of Support Help Desk at casystemaofsupport@cde.ca.gov using Community Engagement Initiative RFA in the subject line. Please note that all questions regarding the RFA and related requirements need to be submitted by 5 p.m. on Friday, February 3rd, 2023. All submitted supplemental questions with answers will be posted as part of the Q&As located at the website on this slide on Tuesday, February 7th, 2023.